Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. Hope you all have an amazing day. We're starting off with the black pieces against a 1753 from Denmark. I knew it was one of the Scandinavian countries. Unfortunately, we don't get to play a Scandinavian against them. We have a d4 here. Let's go for King's Indian, potentially. We get a c4, so it's in full swing. You know, we might get it, we might get it. Depends what they do with the F and the E pawn. But we'll go ahead with our normal stuff. Play a d6, hope for a castles. Oh, a 4-pawn attack. So, the main move here is c5. And I have recently been looking at theory around the 4-pawn attack. Let's castle. Let's castle, why not? With a knight f3. Now, this is a move recommended from one of Daniel Naroditsky's video. We go ahead with e5 here. If you haven't seen that video, please do watch it. It's on his channel. One of the speedrun videos, I'm not quite sure which, but if you don't watch Daniel Naroditsky, please check him out. He's such an amazing player, creator, obviously grandmaster. And we're just going to go ahead and take here. If they take with the pawn, we can trade off queens. We can go knight d7, try win this pawn back. And then we've successfully isolated their pawn, and they have a pretty not good pawn structure. So we're just going to go ahead and take the queen. The alternative was to take with the knight on e5 instead. Their king takes. We can do several things potentially even here. We could throw in the check. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. Then again, knight d7 doesn't look particularly nice either. I think potentially there might be some knight takes e4. I don't see how that works. Oh, and knight g4 just wins the pawn back. They have to watch out for the check with the fork on the rook. So knight g4 is just the way to go here. We're getting the discovery on this e pawn as well, so we're just going to go ahead and win that back. And then they have these two very loosey-goosey pawns with our very strong bishops as well. So I'm pretty happy in this position, to say the least. Now e5's it's a strange move to play, to be honest. And there was potentially even an option of playing like a rook e8 there. Instead, e5's a strange move. You're gambiting a pawn, but the premise of the 4-pawn attack is that they want to launch their pawns at your king side as quickly as possible. Which is why you play this c5 to sort of mess up their structure a bit. They've gone knight d5, which is super interesting here. We're not going to take this knight because that fixes their pawn structure. There is potential to take this pawn, however, then they get the counterplay with knight takes e7. I think knight a6 is fine here. I don't see anything particularly wrong with it. They're gunning for this fork here. Well, not a fork anymore. The trapped rook, I guess. So a6. And even after like a c5, then they're further committing to messing up their pawn structure. They potentially have a b4. Am I scared about b4? c5, b5, takes knight, c takes, a takes. We get this, and we get that bishop at the end. Potentially that's okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. I don't see any way we can save this rook at the minute, so I think we have to go there. Yeah, what was I saying? e5, super weird move, because usually c4 is the way, and that's just making them sort of commit to a structure. But with playing e5, you sort of gambit a pawn, but because they've chosen to move their pawns and not develop their pieces, you get a pretty good attack, especially on the uncastled king with like a rook e8. They've gone king f2, and I'm guessing this is just to free up the bishop. I think a c6 is just fine here. The knight has to go back somewhere. And we just develop our pieces, I think. We could potentially do like a bishop e6, hit this pawn. And yeah, we just play chess, I think. We just play check. Knight e7 check's not scary. We have to move the king back, but it's not hitting anything. They could potentially get the bishop, but who really cares? We've got such a good position, especially with their king messed up. They're not castling. We want the bishop on d4, ideally. There are a few things at the minute they can do to stop us. But yeah, I mean, even if the bishop goes to e3, then you've got knight g4 check and winning the bishop. With the bishop on d4, I should say. The problem is you can't actually get the bishop to d4 without the knight moving first, so I guess that doesn't particularly work. And yeah, I'm just super happy. I'm super happy. We potentially have a knight b4 with some attack here. I don't think that gets us anywhere. They go knight to e3. Now that's super, super weird. To be honest, I'm not sure what that's doing. Maybe even a knight b4 here and looking to get on d3. Either that or we just keep going after this pawn. We could even go knight c5, try to win this. In fact, I think that's pretty hard for them to defend. They would have to move their knight again. At this point, we can win the bishop pair. Would be good. We could potentially go rook d4. I think knight c5 is pretty cool. If they take, we're happy, I think. Yeah, if they take, I think we're just happy. We're still threatening the pawn. So this is good. They could try kick us out, but again, we're just taking this pawn. With the same ideas of knight d3, it's such a... I think it's a threat. It's sort of like not an immediate threat, but it's a really nice move. We can just go ahead and take this pawn. I don't see why we can't just take this pawn. We will. We will, basically. We will. There's nothing. There is nothing. I would like a bishop f5, but this knight's in the way a bit. So if we can try get that off somehow, that would be nice. Again, we can move straight back to c5. Potentially b4's coming, which is a bit annoying. But I'm not too stressed. Maybe just a knight takes even. Trade things off. We're up a pawn. Super nice pawn structure. Really solid bishops. I'm happy. You know, bishop e6. And they move their king again. What? So we can take this knight and further isolate their pawns. Is an idea. What? A rook e8 could work. Just preemptively going for this king. I think we've got to trade off their pawn structure while we can make like inherent weaknesses. Or just a rook e8, I think. A rook e8 could work. Go after their uncastled king. Yeah, I think rook e8's the more solid move. And I was going through this with my coach yesterday. We had a training session. And one of my games, you know, I was too focused on trading things off and looking for tactics and trying to force tactics. And he said something, and it sort of stuck with me, like, if there's nothing concrete, if there's nothing immediately, develop your pieces. And it's so easy to think, yeah, develop your pieces, yeah. But I think we just take with the bishop here. But it's like when you're so focused on tactics and so focused on actually delivering a winning blow, sometimes things get forgotten. Like these two pieces here, they're completely forgotten. We're planning on getting them out, but you do have to work to get these free, and it takes a conscious effort. You know, it's not going to happen unless you make it happen. I think here we go, knight c5, hit this bishop. That's super nice. We're potentially running low on time here with 4 minutes 38 seconds, but again, with the position, the quality of the position, I think we're all good here. I don't want to do anything stupid. Whoa, you let me take the bishop pair. Wowzer. With ideas of bishop f5 after like a bishop f4, super nice. Let me take the bishop pair, thank you very much. Immediate threats. Even an f5 here could work. Looking for f4. But I'm just going to go ahead and play bishop f4. I think that's the immediate. If the king moves somewhere, we can drag it away, try win this piece. Again, we could add things with the pin. Go bishop f5 anyway if the knight's pinned. Get the other rook in the game, and then this is, I mean, if we lose this, I don't deserve to have a YouTube channel, basically. You know, this is pretty solid stuff. Pretty solid stuff. And I think the good thing about e5 is that a lot of people think the 4-pawn attack is one line of theory. You know, you've got to play c5, otherwise you're getting destroyed on your king side. The pawns are going to come, and they're going to be super, super scary. And it's not, you know, e5 is something people don't realize is an option, I don't think. Bishop e6 here, looking for this pawn with still the discovered pin, is quite nice. And then potentially hunting this rook with a bishop f5 as well, I think is good. If they play like a b4, you have potential bishop f5, bishop e5 as well, hunting this rook. Cool, so I think probably a bishop e5 here. Think a bishop e5 first, just to stop it getting out this way. Because if we go there, they can go up to b2. Which isn't as nice. It's not got the same sting to it. Although rook d8 with like a check could be nice. Then the king comes down this way. So I think probably a bishop e5 is quite cool. Quite cool. We could have even gone for a b5 break, but I think this is nice. We've got ideas of f5, f4. The pin is blocked, but again, it's temporary. And these bishops, if they can get a discovered check, are just going to be absolutely devastating. Absolutely devastating. f5, f4 is the idea, with the bishop f5 trapping the rook. I don't even know if I want to trade my two bishops off for, well, get rid of my bishop pair for just the exchange. It's tempting, and it's probably the right answer, but still, like, these bishops are so powerful, it comes into question, like, even these basic trades, you know. That's a good move. I like that from them. I think here f5. Looking for this f4. G3 comes to mind here. Maybe even a rook d8. Just get things going. We've lost potentially a bit of our momentum. They've managed to get their rooks out. Although they're still not in a particularly good shape. Especially this knight. I mean, where is it going? Where is it going? F4's coming. It's going to have to move back. The king moves instead. Here, I think we probably go after the bishop. Potentially a g5. G4 is in order. Let's go after the bishop first. Because we might as well, you know, it's a tempo. Get the rook out, then play g5, look for g4. If they play a g4 themselves, we'll go ahead and lock things up with an f4, and then we've got a beast of a passer. It's devastating. We might have to trade off the knight when it comes in here, but again, that'll be weakening this pawn. And yeah, it's not nice. We potentially even have rook d3 with some pins this way, and it's, you know, we're making tactics the best we can. I think here g5. The bishop's not particularly doing anything there. We play a b6 if we have to, but we don't have to right now. I think g5's pretty nice. Looking for that. If the rook comes over, we still check, then go like a bishop d4. Again, pinning the rook, the knight, sorry. We can still do this. Can we? No, because knight takes. Let's pin the knight then. Let's pin the knight. Might as well. They could offer a trade of rooks here. I think you still throw in the check and then trade off. Yeah, do you still throw in the check? King goes there. Rook over. Or you could just trade. Or just a rook d8. It's still good. Let's go rook d8 still. Try take control of some stuff. They're going to go rook d1 again. At which point I think we still trade off. Potentially go e4. Although now we can still do that with takes then. Do we check? Well, we can. Let's throw in the check. Why not? It frees up the position a bit. Opens the bishops up. And the king can't go anywhere. Oh, actually, it can go... That's fine. It can go in, but that's fine. We just take the rook at that point, and then free up the dark square bishop. It goes back. Again, we could potentially check. Although I think just taking the rook here is fine. We've got a check there. Play c4. And then win with the pawns, potentially. Now this knight's under control quite nicely. They go there. Yeah, play c5 here. Lock their pawns on light squares so we can go like a bishop f5, bishop b1. We've got to speed up a bit. We'll move the king up, try get the king to cover h5. The thing I really don't want is to trade off opposite coloured bishops. Here we will... Yeah, we can't... Oh, can we? We'll take it. I think we're running low on time, which is unfortunate. Knight there's annoying. We're still up a pawn though, and these pawns are on light squares. Knight there we can't take. There's no way. Although king e7 check's annoying. We can't go bishop f5. Let's go b4, trying to win this b3 pawn. And then we can start to push this. We could potentially take this. Takes, push, push, push. No, wait, takes, 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 push, takes, takes, push, in. We got this. I think we got this. Well, our king's too close. We're in the box. We're in the box. We just have to be quick enough to mate. We just have to be quick enough to mate. Okay, speed, speed, speed. We got this. Pre-moving. We're good. I think we've got this. Oh, I think we've got this. I think we've got this. Very nice. Very, very nice. If I knew how to pre-move properly. There we go. Oh, that was stressful. That was so stressful. Wow, wow, wow. What a game. No, thank you. I'm not going to rematch. Wow, 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 wow. That's the first time I've actually played that line properly, so I'm super happy with that. Really, really happy. Not a particularly high accuracy. We got 76.8. versus a 69.1. We let them get a bit back in the middle game, I will say, but I think we played a pretty tight end game, so I'm happy with that. Apparently they had a higher estimated elo than us, which is wild. They got a 1950 versus our 1750, which is wild. Yeah, let's have a gander. Let's have a gander. So we have the 4-pawn attack here, which is defined by f4. There is a ton of things white can do in this position. Knight there for the same-ish. You've got bishops out. And then you've got plans of potentially b4 after, like castles, e4. Takes is an option, push is an option. King's Indian is wild, absolutely wild. Really, really wild stuff. That's all I can say. You have, as black, you've got to know your stuff, basically. Which is fine if you do. If you don't, it can get a bit messy, but it's fun. So f4, castles here. So the move here is c5. They're not likely to take. If they want the 4-pawn attack, they want this pressure around the king side, so they're more likely to push. If they do take, it's sort of normal King's Indian territory. You know, like it's just nice. You know, you get like king c7, get the rooks out, play an e5 if you can. I think that's fine. It's slightly better for white here, but you know. Potentially you don't even take. I'm not even sure what the theory is, to be honest. I might be waffling. Let's see what the analysis says. Here, if they take... Oh, apparently you just castle here, which is wild. Don't listen to what I just said. Apparently you just castle and give up the pawn. Give up the pawn for... gosh knows why. You're just down a pawn. I guess development-wise, you're way better. Don't ask me. This is why the King's Indian is so complicated. So complicated. But we didn't play that. We played this castles line. Now, after castles, you're pretty much always going to see knight f3. There's not particularly any other moves. Any other pawn move sort of either kills the attack or loses a pawn for white. So it's not ideal. You're most likely going to see knight f3. At which point, that's when you play e5. You see here, c5 is, again, the recommended move. And it's, you know, it's fine. It's fine. And that's the best way to play it. But after castles, e5 is an option. Now, if they take inwards, I don't even know. If they take with the d-pawn, you take back. Again, you're happy with them trading. You're developed, so you can take with the rook again. And again, whichever way they do it, they have some weaknesses with the bishop as well. This is a super strong bishop. You've got a weakness on e4. You've got the rook potentially even coming back to e1. Or staying pressure on the open file as well. And white's super underdeveloped. So this is playable completely for both sides. I think the best move would be knight takes. If they take with the f-pawn, they've just double isolated, and it's not particularly nice. They take with the knight. What's it saying? b6, and apparently you go for this double fianchetto system. Maybe with a c5 to stop any annoying bishop stuff. And go after this e-pawn, I guess. Anyway, they decide to take with the f-pawn, which is cool. At which point we just take back. Now they took here with the pawn, which isn't ideal. This is slightly better for black. What's that saying? Minus 0.6 here for black. They take with the knight. That's the key move, sort of. Apparently not even the best move. Apparently the best move is what's the best move? d5, apparently. And I guess this is probably more normal King's Indian. You've got c6 to undermine this. You want to get a knight on d6 if you can. However slow it takes, it would be really nice hitting both these pawns and stopping the advancement of the d-pawn. c6 apparently is best, looking to undermine the pawn structure. I don't really know. I didn't look into this option. But anyway, knight takes. Then you've got to remember this key move of c5. Again, undermining. If they decide to take, you have potential ideas of knight takes e4, queen takes first, rook takes e8, rook e8 is coming, and it's super nice. You know, queen takes, king takes. What's it here? Rook e8. Yeah, and you're hitting the knight, and then you're x-raying this pawn. These pawns are potentially weak in the future as well. So it's a nice position. If they decide to push, however, rook e8 is super nice. And what you want to do, you want to stick your bishop on d4 if possible to stop them from castling. If they castle, it's still fine, but it's less sort of attacky and more use your pieces the best you can. But if you can stop them from castling, you're going to be hunting for the king, basically. So rook e8, looking to check, take knight, whatever, attack this knight as well. You've got, once this knight moves, you've got the bishop coming in, however you want to do it. And it's a super nice position. It's saying knight takes f7. Knight takes e4. Apparently you just ignore that with some discovered attack. If you take with the king, bishop d3. And then you're looking after this pawn, which is wild. So you've just sacked a piece for 2 pawns. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. If you want more information on this line, check out Naroditsky's video on this. Obviously, as one of the top players in the world, he explains it way, way better than I do. Anyway, what did we actually play? What did we actually play? Yes, they took with the pawn, so we just trade off queens. Why not? Stop them from castling. And then knight g4. Now, the idea of knight g4 is both to hit this fork and to hit this e5 pawn. And then they did a series of really, really weird moves. Moved their king. Apparently, actually moving your king to c2 is best, which is wild, because that looks like it's right on the bishop's path. We took the knight. Apparently, bishop e6 is better. And I thought even rook e8 was possible. Still good. Bishop e6. I don't really know. I guess you're looking for this pawn. Potentially, what's the analysis saying? Actually, let's get actual computer. I thought maybe a b3 here, and then you just take the pawn, I guess. Knight d5 looks cool. Knight d7, and now you've freed up your rook. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, because we had some problems with our rook being trapped. I guess once you're developing your bishop with a tempo, your rook's no longer trapped. And if they actually take this pawn, where are we? If they actually take the pawn, then you're actually freeing up another piece into the attack, and you could potentially take this with check as well. Super nice, super nice. We took the pawn, which is fine, and then knight e6 is the only real way to defend the rook here, because of the threat of rook takes c7. You've got 2 pieces trapping it, so you need to do one and then defend the pawn at the same time. King f2 again moves, like moving your king for no reason. Like, why would you move it again? I guess you're blocked in your bishop, but then don't move your king in a way that it doesn't block in your bishop. Move it to c2 as the computer suggests, you know. 97 check apparently is the move. Instead, king h8 is the only move. What's it saying? Knight takes bishop. And then you just trade off with some weakened pawns, and it's slightly better for white. It's minus 0.8 here. So I guess the weakened pawns are enough, with the king in the center as well. c6 apparently isn't the move. Rook e8, and I'm guessing then you're stopping this check, and then you're looking at this e4 pawn. We decided we were scared of this knight attack, which I guess, yeah, it makes sense that it's not really a threat, but again, it's not a particularly nice knight to look at, so I wanted to get rid of it. But yeah, I do get that it's not particularly a threat, so rook e8 would have been better. I can see that. Again, knight e7 is what it wants to trade off the bishop, because our bishop pair absolutely dominated. Knight c5, looking for this pawn, looking for potential knight d3 ideas. We grab the pawn because it's a free pawn. And then rook e8. Apparently rook g4 is the move. I guess looking for f2. Potentially. I'm not quite sure. They trade off, which is good. Apparently slightly better to take with the rook, but it's not particularly horrible. We played knight c5 just to hit the bishop, because I'm not really sure where the bishop's going. Like, back to c3 doesn't look particularly nice. I guess then you're stopping our bishop going to f5. But apparently bishop d4 here is the move, which is wild. So if the bishop takes, you just take with the rook. And I guess then you're looking for the same f4, f5 ideas and all that stuff. which makes sense, I guess. Makes sense. King e2. They moved their king for a third time. I guess a fourth time, which is wild. We take the bishop, get the bishop pair. Yes, and I think probably f5 earlier was right, yeah. We played this bishop before. To be honest, I'm not particularly sure why I played that. I guess I was just hunting that knight, but I don't think I ever actually ended up winning it. Here, bishop f5. I guess now because the f4 push is blocked, there's no real chance of doing that. So you just go all out. And here, apparently the move is just to go straight for f5. We went for e5 to try preemptively block b3, but we forgot that the bishop can actually move and free up the rook. So if you go to f5 first, the rook moves up. Then e5. Yeah, the only move for the rook actually is d2 because every single one of these squares are covered. E2, and then what? Bishop c3 is wild. Bishop c3. So the rook can either go to d6 or back. It decides to go back. Oh, and then you get that way. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. So you end up getting it a few moves later from this nasty skewer. So if the rook decides to go forward then what? Bishop g4 check. Still bishop g4? No, bishop g4 is a mistake. Bishop b4. Oh, so then you're hitting the rook again. Now it can either choose f6 or back where it gets lost. So if we go to f6 and try keep the rook alive again, rook a d8 apparently is best. Rook takes f5. I don't know why they have to do that if the king decides to go anywhere. Then rook d3. Could you try trap the rook anyway? I guess the rook's sort of trapped anyway, so you can spend a bit of time. Okay, that makes sense. Where are we lost now? We are lost now. Oh, that's way, way far away. There we go. Sorry if this is loud. There we go. And then the bishop move. Yeah. F5 is good. That's been wanting to be played for a while. We develop our other rook. Play g5, which apparently is the right idea. Oh, and you can just go h5. You can just go h5 with g4 supported that way rather than having to pin the knight and force a trade-off. That makes sense. Yeah, trades. And apparently g4 is not good. You just take the rook. If you take the rook, what happens? Knight takes b5, and I guess you just play the endgame with the bishop pair. Being up a pawn as well. Cool. So what happens if g4? What's the right moves for g4? H takes, you take the rook then, and then you check. And then this is what we said, we would have to move our bishop away to play this. And this is still better. This is minus 1.4 for black. So, yeah, it's good. They take, we check first. Apparently the order doesn't matter. And then the king should have gone to e4 is the most fighting move. Just getting your king active, which in the end was their problem because our king was way too close to this pawn. So maybe if they were there to support it, things would have worked out differently, you know. We kick the knight back. We give this check, which I see now is a bit pointless because the knight could just block, I guess. And we don't really want to trade off into an opposite coloured bishop endgame. We play c5, bring the king up, and then we decide to trade off bishops here. Mostly because I didn't know what else to do. I guess if we let them take, we get the passed pawn. But again, like I don't see what's so good about that. Apparently the move was king f4, which I guess is just activity again, looking to sort of hunt this bishop after the trade. The knight takes, yeah, we go h5 to support the pawn, which apparently is, and it's important to note, after the bishop trade here, it's minus 0.9, so it's gone back to relatively even terms. It's still potentially either way. Well, I say either way, it's either drawing or winning for me. But it's so risky now. Unnecessarily, I would say. Because I guess a good rule to follow is keep the pieces on the board if you want to win. You know, the pieces are what give you tactics. So, you know. We played h5 to support the pawn. Apparently, you just give up the pawn with that. King f6 if they decide to take. Not even takes. Not even bishop takes. If bishop takes, this is dead draw. Because it's even pawns, I guess. Even pawns. So you just keep moving the king up. They can keep checking you, which is really annoying. And I don't really know how... what would happen here. I don't really know what would happen. Where are we? We move the king up, and then we play b5 here. So apparently a3 was a massive mistake because of this b4 and then the takes idea, which is quite cool. We saw that, I think. We play b4 with the same idea, and then knight d5. Now knight d5 looks really, really scary because you're giving them a pass pawn, but if you take a minute and actually calculate it like we did in the game, you know, we took, what was it, 20 seconds here. And now 20 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but when you've got less than a minute left on your clock, it is a lot, especially with no increment. Notice the key moves and actually calculate it out. Don't just be scared because they've told you to be scared, you know. Something I've been reading in my book, your opponent is not your friend. They will try to lie to you, you know. They will try deceive you and whatnot in order to win. Don't trust them. Calculate it out for yourself and all that. We calculated that bishop takes actually is fine because we have this c4 pawn break, which again seems scary, but our king is actually close enough to stop the pawn. And their king with this pawn is not a threat at all because of how many moves it would take. They can either push or take. Either way, I get a pass pawn. And then you just move the king across, keep pushing the pawn, and then it's a matter of checkmating pretty quickly. Now, if you're playing faster chess, rapid all the way up to bullet, ultra bullet, hyper bullet, all that stuff, you've got to know how to do your mates quickly. You know, that could be the difference between winning or losing a game. You know, if you're spending all your time actually calculating the right moves, learn how to do them quickly. We messed about a bit here, picking up some pawns, giving some useless checks, but we were fast with it, you know, and we knew what we needed to do in order to win this pawn. We won it, and then it's just a matter of cornering off the king, and it is pre-movable, almost, you know. So yeah, learn how to do your checkmates quickly. Anyway, I think that's enough of me waffling for today. Please check out Naroditsky's video on the 4 pawns because it's super, super interesting. He explains things way better than I do. But anyway, I hope you all learned something. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.